Today, we are looking at a literary phenomenon that blurred the lines between reality and fantasy so effectively that it actually landed the author in court.
Yeah.
We're talking about Arthur Golden's 1997 juggernaut, Memoirs of a Geisha.
It's the perfect case study for a deep dive like this. You have a book that millions of people, just accepted as this genuine window into Kyoto's Gion district.
Like a piece of anthropology.
Exactly. But the sources highlight this huge tension. It's a Western man writing fiction that was, well, widely misinterpreted as Eastern biography.
And you can see why. The narrative is designed to feel incredibly authentic. It centers on Chiyo, and it's a bit of a Dickensian setup.
Oh,
She starts in a fishing village, Uroido,
yeah.
living in what she calls a drunk house.
Which is such a great detail, and it wasn't a metaphor for the people living there, but for the house itself. It literally leaned to one side.
Right, like an intoxicated person. And that instability sort of becomes her whole reality. The story really hinges on Chiyo being sold by her father.
And it's so specific.
Chiyo is sold into a prestigious Okiya a geisha house because of her startling gray eyes.
Her sister, Satsu, she doesn't have that marketable trait, and she's sent to a brothel. They're just separated like that.
That separation is really the emotional engine for the first half of the book. Chiyo becomes trapped in the Gion district, and she eventually takes the name Sayuri.
The book frames this world as a brutal meritocracy. She has to survive the house hierarchy and specifically the torment of the head geisha, Hatsumomo.
Hatsumomo is a terrifying antagonist. She makes Sayuri's life hell until a mentor figure, Mameha, finally steps in.
But the real plot, the thing that drives her is her obsession with a man known only as the president.
It's almost a fairy tale premise. She meets him once as a child, he buys her a sweet treat, and she just decides to reshape her entire existence just to get into his orbit.
Gives the story this romantic spine, but it's the history that gives it weight. The narrative just slams right into World War II.
And the contrast is so stark. You go from silk kimonos to Sayuri, working in the countryside, doing manual labor, making parachutes.
It's the total erasure of that floating world of entertainment.
Mm-hmm.
She does eventually return, and she ends up running a tea house in New York. And if the book stopped there, it would just be a bestseller. But the real drama, that all started after publication.
This is where the fiction caused some very real-world consequences. It involves Golden's primary source, Mineko Iwasaki.
She was the most famous geisha of her generation, right? Golden interviewed her for hours and hours to get the texture of the world right.
He did. And the deal they made was for strict anonymity.
Which is a huge deal.
It's everything. The geisha profession relies on a code of silence about clients, but Golden thanked her by name, right there in the acknowledgments.
So it wasn't just an annoyance for her?
No, it was dangerous. She started getting death threats for supposedly, selling out the secrets of her community.
But looking at the lawsuit, it wasn't just the name drop. It was the specific depiction of Miswij. That seems to be the real core of her defamation claim.
Absolutely. In Golder's novel, Miswij is this bidding war where an apprentice geisha's virginity is auctioned off to the highest bidder.
Which effectively frames the profession as high-end sex work.
Exactly. And Iwasaki was furious. She argued that Miswij was just a coming-of-age ceremony, a change in hairstyle, a change in her kimono collar. It marked her transition to adulthood.
Not a sex act for sale.
She vehemently denied it involved selling sex. She felt Golden had taken her life story, her real details, and just twisted them into a Western fantasy about prostitution.
She sued him.
She did. They settled out of court in 2003 for an undisclosed amount. But Iwasaki wasn't just after the money. She wanted to reclaim her narrative.
Which she did by writing her own book.
Her own autobiography, yeah. It was published as Geisha, A Life in the U.S., a very direct response.
It's not often you see a source literally strike back like that. It's basically a corrected text to this massive bestseller.
And it forces you to ask, who owns a culture story? Golden's version is arguably more entertaining to a Western audience because it fits certain preconceptions.
While Iwasaki's version is the lived reality, and it's sold, a fraction of the copies.
A tiny fraction.
And I think that's the lingering question for you to think about.
Yeah.
When you read historical fiction that confirms what you think you know about a culture, is that a sign of accuracy, or is it a sign that you're just being pandered to?
It's a very dangerous line to walk.
Thanks for diving in with us.